seed has everything it needs. You don't need to fertilize a seed at all. It just needs water, sunlight, and a safe tucked place to be able to germinate. And once it germinates, it uses all that stored energy that was the seed in its first set of leaves to produce its first roots and then start to produce its new set of true leaves. Once those new set of true leaves come out, that's when it needs to move. So we're going to look at some of the different potting mixes and materials we use so we can start seedlings, how we do it in the greenhouse, but easily transposable to just your kitchen counter and windowsill. In fact, why don't we start right with this? Whenever we start something from seeds inside, we're not really using soil at all. In fact, in the trade, we call it soilless medium or potting mix or something like that. It's rarely ever referred to as soil because soil is something that's in the ground. It is a totally different dynamic and living ecosystem. Potting media and substrate, or whatever term we could use for this, is really meant to do two very specific things. One, to hold water, and two, to drain water. We start off in a mix that is kind of foolproof, actually. This is two different types of material. Sand, which we know is really highly drainable. If you pour water on sand, it gets wet, but mostly the water goes through it. And then sphagnum moss. And now these plants, if you were to plant these outside or in pots, these are way too close together. So we don't want to let them go for too much longer. So what we're going to do is take them out of this and move them over. You can see how much roots are still on this plant. This is really well established root system, more than necessary even for this material. What we're going to do is move that into a potting mix that's made of a richer kind of peat moss, compost, vermiculite, sand, granite, and kelp and things like that. So this is much more of a nutrient base, and it's going to provide some longevity and some fertility for this plant for the next several weeks as it grows before it goes out into the garden. I'll use this potting mix and I'll take our transplant as we had it there and make just a little bit of room in there, bury that piece in there, take another small handful of material, and then just allow that to tuck in. Again, just give yourself a little bit of soil in there and make a divot in the ground. Take it up by its roots. This has a lot of roots. If it has too many and they're pretty long, they can just be pinched with the thumb. We're going to take this plant and just quickly, it doesn't have any roots, but we're going to allow it to come in. We're not going to press it down or anything. We're just going to kind of hold it in there and then add some soil around the outside just so that it can stand up. So what we try to do is graduate up from one size container, maybe to the next size container, from there, or up into something slightly larger. So 1, 2, 3. This small container here, you can see the tag itself is dated, named the plant type and the variety type. This is the date it was seeded. So when we move from here, we'll remember, we'll add new tags to these and then add them to this book here that gives us a long log of all of those plantings. So we've graduated up into this next size, and from here we'll go out into the field.